Why is it that no matter what you achieve, who you're with, or how much you try to fill your life with meaning, there's this persistent void, an aching sense of emptiness? You wake up in the morning, maybe on a good day there's a flicker of motivation, but deep down you still feel incomplete. That lingering hollowness, what is it? Why do you always feel empty? If you found yourself pondering this question, you're not alone. The sensation of inner emptiness is a common struggle, one that transcends material wealth, status, or even external success. You can have all the things the world tells you will make you happy, yet still find yourself asking, is this it? This is where Stoicism comes in, an ancient philosophy that doesn't just offer surface-level advice, but instead digs into the core of why we feel the way we do. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control, embrace hardship as part of growth, and find meaning through inner virtue rather than external pleasure. The reasons for your emptiness might be more profound than you think. Let's dive into 4 key Stoic insights that reveal why you always feel empty and how you can overcome it. 1. You're chasing happiness instead of meaning. How many times have you caught yourself thinking, if I just had that job, that relationship, or that house, then I'd be happy? We've all been there, fixating on something just out of reach, convinced that it holds the key to fulfillment. But the truth is, happiness, as we typically understand it, is fleeting, and when you pursue it as an end goal, you're bound to feel empty. I remember a time in my life when I was driven by what society promised would bring happiness. I was laser-focused on career advancement, climbing higher and higher on the corporate ladder. When I finally landed my dream job, it felt euphoric for about a month. But then, the familiar emptiness crept back in, reminding me that happiness is not a permanent state. It's like trying to hold water in your hands. The harder you grip, the faster it slips away. The Stoics, particularly Marcus Aurelius, understood this. He famously wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." For the Stoics, the pursuit of happiness was misguided because happiness is a byproduct of living a life of purpose, not an end in itself. The more you chase happiness, the more it evades you, leaving behind that gaping void. Imagine you're on a treadmill. No matter how fast or hard you run, the scenery never changes. You're perpetually stuck in pursuit of a finish line that keeps moving. This is what it feels like to chase happiness. You can never quite catch it, and the more you run after it, the emptier you feel. Instead of chasing happiness, shift your focus to meaning. What are the things that genuinely matter to you? How can you live a life of purpose, regardless of external outcomes? 2. You're living outside of your values. One of the most overlooked causes of that persistent emptiness is a disconnect between your actions and your values. Are you living in a way that's true to who you are? Or are you conforming to what society, family, or friends expect of you? If there's a gap between your inner beliefs and how you actually live, that's where emptiness thrives. I experienced this when I found myself in a career that, while prestigious, didn't align with my deeper values. On the surface, I was succeeding, hitting all the milestones, receiving recognition from peers, but internally, I felt like a shell of myself. I wasn't living for me. I was living for the image of success that others had crafted for me. The result? An unshakable emptiness that only grew with each achievement. According to Stoicism, living in alignment with your values is the foundation of a fulfilling life. The Stoics emphasized living in accordance with nature and virtue. That means making decisions based on reason and moral integrity rather than external pressures or superficial desires. Imagine walking through a foggy forest. The trees are tall, looming over you, and the path is obscured. Every decision you make feels uncertain because you're not using your inner compass. You're following someone else's map. This is what it feels like to live outside your values. You wander aimlessly, never fully satisfied because your actions aren't rooted in who you truly are. The key is to clear that fog by identifying your core values and making decisions that reflect them. 3. You're trying to control the uncontrollable. How much of your daily mental energy goes into worrying about things you can't control? Maybe it's your boss's opinion, the outcome of a relationship, or even world events that seem to spiral out of control. When you focus on controlling things outside your power, you set yourself up for constant disappointment and a chronic feeling of helplessness. This, in turn, feeds the emptiness you feel. I remember obsessing over a work project that involved multiple teams, deadlines, and stakeholders. I tried to control every detail, micromanaging every aspect, hoping that if I could just keep everything perfect, I'd feel secure. But perfection is impossible, and when things inevitably went wrong, the stress and emptiness hit me hard. I had invested all my energy into something that was never mine to control in the first place. The Stoics were masters at distinguishing between what we can control and what we cannot. Epictetus famously said, "Some things are up to us and some things are not." The Stoic approach is to focus only on what's within our control, our actions, our attitudes, our thoughts, and to let go of everything else. When you release the need to control external circumstances, you free yourself from the weight of unnecessary stress and disappointment. Imagine holding a rope tied to a heavy boulder. You pull with all your might, trying to move the boulder, but it's immovable. The more you tug, the more exhausted you become, yet the boulder doesn't budge. This is what it's like to focus on controlling the uncontrollable. It drains your energy and fills you with emptiness because your efforts are futile. The solution? Drop the rope. Focus on what you can move, your own decisions, your own actions, your own mindset. 4. You're detached from the present moment. We live in a world that's obsessed with the future, what's next, what's coming, what we need to achieve. But in doing so, we often detach from the present moment, leaving us feeling like spectators of our own lives. When was the last time you truly engaged with the present? I mean, really felt the moment without being distracted by your phone, your to-do list, or your worries about tomorrow. For a long time, I believed that multitasking was a sign of productivity. If I could juggle 5 things at once, I must be winning, right? But the truth is, I was never fully present in any of those tasks. I wasn't experiencing life. I was skimming through it. And the result was an emptiness that followed me everywhere because I was never here. I was always in the next moment, the next task, the next achievement. The Stoics understood that the only moment that truly exists is the present. Marcus Aurelius often wrote about the importance of focusing on what's in front of you, here and now. The past is gone, the future is uncertain, and the present is the only thing you can truly experience. Picture yourself at a family gathering. Everyone is laughing, sharing stories, enjoying the moment. But instead of being part of the experience, you're glued to your phone, scrolling through social media or checking emails. You're physically there, but mentally absent. At the end of the night, you leave feeling strangely empty, even though you were surrounded by people you love. Why? Because you weren't truly present. You missed the richness of the moment by being somewhere else. Conclusion. The feeling of emptiness is not something to fear, but to understand. It reveals where we've gone astray, whether by chasing fleeting happiness, living outside our values, trying to control the uncontrollable, or neglecting the present moment. Through the lens of Stoicism, emptiness becomes an opportunity for growth, a reminder to refocus on what truly matters. Embrace the void not as a curse, but as a guide, leading you toward a life of purpose, alignment, and peace. When you stop resisting it, you may find that the emptiness was never empty after all,